Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This is episode number 4 now, so we're a month into this. I'm really enjoying doing them, and we've had quite a mixed bag so far. We've had Billy McCarthy was episode 1. If you haven't listened to that, go back, check it out. Lead singer of Augustine's. Episode 2 was my friend Sonia, who is OMG It's Firefox. She's a streamer and a bit of a car nerd. Producer Michael last week. That was a good one. You guys really enjoyed that. And this week, I've invited my best friend in all the world, Thomas Watson, who I've known now for, probably getting on for 12 years, I would guess. Probably 10 years. I think I've known him since I was 20. We go way back, and Tom is an aircraft engineer. He is an absolute whiz when it comes to all things aeroplanes, and I've seen him come up in the industry, and it's just been, real nice to see one of your mates doing so well. He is also a bit of a blockchain nerd and into cryptocurrency and stuff, so he's advised me a couple of times. We'll get into that a bit later. So I figured that me and him, whenever we get on the phone, we always chat for hours, and I was like, dude, we got to do this on a podcast, because we talk some crap, but we often get into some good topics. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the beautifully filmed, I may say, Thomas Watson.
Hey, how you doing? What do you think of my setup?
Look at that. Mate, that depth of field is, I'm jealous. I am jealous. I thought this webcam was good, but you're putting me to shame.
Yeah, I mean, this has been pulled together with junk that was lying around in my loft. You know, when we first met, we were both photo nerding, figuring it out, and this is all equipment left over from 10 years ago.
That's nuts. That is nuts. Yeah, so Tom and I, we actually met through a photo group. It was the Strobist photo group, the West Midlands Strobists, and we basically used to get together, and it was like a group of probably 10 or 20 photographers and then 5 or 10 models, and we would go rent a location and just go and shoot pictures for our portfolio. And so I met Tom there because he ran that show, and we've been best mates ever since.
It's a long time, isn't it? 10 years. You get less for, I wouldn't say murder, because that's life these days.
Yeah, this is true. But no, I mean, it definitely is crazy how long we've really known each other now. Because I was thinking the very first time we met was that weird, abandoned house, wasn't it?
There were a couple. You'll have to remind me. I'm not always sure that they were legally obtained either. Sometimes it was just like, is it locked? Give it a push. Yeah, seems legit. This will make like a grungy emo backdrop for my amateur pictures.
It's so funny, yeah. That group was great. There were some really fun people in that, and it's so wild to look back on that. And I know that at the time I was doing professional photography work. I was shooting for the magazines at the time. I don't think I was doing any commercial stuff, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to think that was only 10 years ago, and look how far I've come, Tom. Now I'm making YouTube videos for a living, like a 14-year-old girl unboxing toys.
I know. It's so funny, isn't it? The funny thing is, though, when we met at that point, I was like, maybe I could be a photographer. I can take a picture. That's all it is, right? And the truth is, no. Being a photographer is about 1% going click and 95%, hey, can I do some pictures for you? Hey, what can I do for you? Hey, it's me again. Can I show you my book? And the truth is, I had no appetite for that. I just like dicking around with the camera equipment. Yeah,
I think had I have known that, I kind of fell into it, and it was like, oh, the magazine stuff's easy because the mags just call me up and that's it. And then once I got into the commercial world, then it was like, oh, I see. This is a business. This
you got to hustle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a treadmill that there is no, you can't stop. You are paddling upstream all the time, and if you stop paddling, then you just slowly drift backwards, and everybody else gets in front of you. And
sure.
I mean, Christ, I was only in the industry for probably 8 years. From when did I do the Honda job? 2021, something like that.
Was what was the Honda job? The kind of the thing that kicked you off?
Yeah,
in the magazines.
No, that was my commercial one. That was when I went out to Italy and we shot the Honda Fireblade.
Oh yeah.
So that was the big one. That was the first 6-figure ad campaign. All the the magazine stuff was all mountain bikes. So yeah. I've been being paid to take pictures since I was thinking about this the other day, since I was 16 years old. So I've now been doing it for 40. My maths is awful.
20 years. You're what now? You're 36 now, right?
You wish.
Pushing 56.
Tom is older than me. Even
I
though
am not. I just had a really, really hard childhood.
Very long paper round.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I've been doing it for 14 years. That's crazy. 14, 15 years. Yeah. But no, the YouTube thing is I love it. I absolutely love this kind of content because it flips the whole thing on its head, because obviously with the commercial world, you're constantly going to people and almost begging them to let you take their pictures. And I know that there are the guys, the Annie Leibowitzes and the big photographers in the world the Rankins, who are getting people come to them because of who they are, and those companies want a Rankin or they want a Leibowitz. But for most of us, it's just like, oh, please sir, can I take your pictures for you, and please beat me up on the price. And it got to be quite soul destroying at times. I mean, you know what it was like when I was living back in the UK and I would go down to London and do all of those meetings and stuff. And now being able to just know that the amount of effort that I put in is directly correlates with the amount that I will earn from it.
I mean, it's not just isolated to photography either. Like, I felt the same way in the aviation industry. I was with a company for 6 years, and the whole time I was there, it was like the big thing in aviation is getting qualified. It's very process-driven industry. Everything has to be by the book, and so in order to do a job, you have to be qualified to do it. And the whole time I was at that company, I was just like, can I go? I need more qualifications. I need to be stretched. I want to go learn something new. And it was only after I'd left there that I realized that the only person that had stopped me from going to get those things was me. Like, the whole time I thought it was up to my boss to choose whether or not I went on a course or, went and took an exam. And then, leaving there, I was like, God damn, why have I been waiting for someone else's permission to go do these things I needed to do?
Right.
And so, last year, I came to see you. I went to New York and went and got my American license, and, blasted out a load of qualifications in maybe 12 months. I got more qualified in those 12 months than I had in the previous 5 years.
That's crazy. And let's back up a bit, like all the way back to the beginning. So how did you get into airplanes? Like, where did your love of airplanes start? And then how did you end up? Because Shobden was your first airfield, right? The first place you worked?
Sure. I fell into that job. It was pure luck. I went to college. I at high school, I was a pretty decent student. I came away with some very good grades. And then I got to college. I came from a high school that had like 300 kids, and I went to a college that had 3,000. And so, I blew my college years away. The 2 years I was there doing A-levels. I enjoyed going to the pub, meeting young ladies, skipping class. I mean, the thing that blew my mind most about sixth form is that you could not turn up to a class and nobody cared.
Yeah.
And so I remember like having a parents' evening at the end of the first year, having blown away all of my exams, but showed promise. It was a classic must try harder. And my law lecturer saying to my parents, like, Tom's a great student. If only we saw more of him.
Right.
I was like, oh, goddamn. And so, at the end of my first year, I kind of did the whole, look, I'll knuckle down. I'll make amends. I can do this. I'm not a complete numpty. And at the end of the second year, took my exams and came away with sweet FA.
Oh God!
And so my mum was pretty good, actually. She was like, okay, look, you might be able to get in on clearing. Didn't get in on clearing, and I just kind of like floated around for, I don't know, maybe a month or two over the summer holidays, like enjoying those last few days with your mates before everybody clears off to university. And in September, she was like, son, right, you're out of education. You got to go get a job. And she found me something in the back of the paper. It was, sweeping a floor at a local flying school. And that's kind of like where I got my push. But I mean, I owe it to my mum. There's no doubt about that. Like, she literally found me that job. And so, I was there for I think I was there for 8 years.
That's
and whilst
nuts.
it wasn't glamorous, like, it was a great place to cut my teeth because the stakes were low. And that's probably not what you want to hear from an aircraft engineer. But it was, they were small private aircraft. It was a small flying school. If you had an aircraft that wasn't serviceable at the end of a day, it wasn't like you were having to refund 400 angry passengers on their way to Alicante.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was people just buzzing around the countryside on a weekend for fun.
Yeah, exactly. It was old boys that had a hobby. It was nothing, nobody was really using it for business. Or if they were, that was the exception to the rule. It was almost all recreation.
And so prior to going to Shobden, had you ever done any like mechanicking? Was that something that you were into?
So I was always mucking around with cars. Like I think I got my first car at 15. I was bought a very, very rusty Rover Metro 1.1 in white, carbed.
Nice.
And I don't even think... So I think my parents bought it from me from auction for about 150 quid. And the idea was like, you can do it up. And then when you can drive, when you're old enough to drive, that will be your car. And I don't think I ever drove it once. I think not only did I end up crashing it before I could even drive. Like we had a big field at the top of our house, and so drove it around there, and then one day doing handbrake turns, slid it into a wall, like bent all the front wheels and the wing. But even so, even if I hadn't sent that car on its way before I'd learned to drive, there's no way in hell it would have passed an MOT. certainly not without copious amounts of newspaper and filler. Like it was a wreck.
Or talking of filler and stuff, have you seen people that are like repairing stuff with ramen noodles, like packet noodles?
I've not seen the ramen noodles. I've seen people making like shiny balls out of tin foil.
Yeah,
so that was a thing, right?
That has its own merit though. Like that's a cool that has some merit. People are like taking ramen noodles, like dry noodles, packing them into broken thing. I saw a guy repair a sink basin, and then sanding it, and then painting it, and then it's fixed.
Wow.
You've not seen this?
I mean, what happens when you fill the sink up with water?
Well, then you get a ramen bowl, but like
delicious pot noodles.
Yeah, but I think
your teeth in.
I think the way that it works is that once you seal over it,
yeah, sure,
you don't cook the noodles. They just stay protected. I mean, you've seen the Mercedes that I've just bought. There's some pretty chunky holes, and I'm like,
you packing up on super noodles.
Yeah,
is that where you going?
Yeah, I think I think it'd be fun, if nothing else, just to fix one of the holes with some ramen noodles.
And what do you? I presume you don't get it wet. What do you do? Like mix it with super glue or like PVA glue or something?
Yeah. Is it super glue? It's something. I've not really looked too much into it, but yeah, you mix it with something and then you sand it. Like I watched a YouTuber that I watch, Jenna Marbles, and Julie and her boyfriend. She made some like fake fingernails out of ramen noodles. Yeah.
That sounds not only disgusting, but like bad hygiene.
Yeah, exactly. This was pre-COVID days, but yeah. So that could have maybe helped out that little metro. So you
mind you, this. I'm sorry to step over you.
No, go on.
This is going to be a thing, isn't it? Where it's like my turn to talk.
This is us. Go on.
Yeah. No, I feel like the ramen noodles is more of an international flavor. I think if you wanted the British solution, have you ever left a bowl of Weetabix out for like a long period of time?
Oh, that is a great shout. Yeah.
Like, and there's no glue required, and you've got to chisel that mofo off before it goes in the dishwasher or you clean it. Like a hard, dry Weetabix. That's a structural member.
Do you know what? That is a great call. So if you guys aren't from the UK and you don't know what Weetabix is, it's imagine like a small block of wheat,
shredded newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. A small block of like crispy wheat. It's a breakfast cereal, and then you pour milk on it, and it goes. If you put lots of milk on it, essentially you can mush it up and turn it into porridge.
It's like cold porridge.
Yeah, exactly. But if you put a little bit on, then you get some crispy bits, you get some soft bits, and it's quite nice. I used to like them just with sugar sprinkled on the top back in the day. Mm-hmm. That was my go-to with Weetabix. But if you leave a bowl of Weetabix unattended for more than probably 25 to 30 minutes, then this chemical reaction happens that I think only can be replicated in the center of the earth. And the component parts fuse together and create this impenetrable, like, just mass that will stick to any. I mean, like a porcelain bowl, like a bowl that you eat soup. What's the word I'm looking for here? Why can't I? Cereal. There you go. Cereal. That's it. Oh my god. And it's only, what time is it? It's only. Oh, well, it's not that time because I haven't set this watch. This is the problem. I'm getting quite a few watches now, and I put them on. I'm like, oh cool, and then I go about my day, and then I'm like, oh yeah, cool. It's 6:30 when it's actually 11:58.
Nice.
But yeah, so like the kind of bowl that you would eat cereal from, it's very smooth and it's made to be easily cleaned. Not if you've got Weetabix on it. So
yeah. I think it's the same process they use for like forging diamonds, or like millions of years it would take to make a diamond. But so whoever makes Weetabix, I guess, I don't know, Kellogg's. They're in everything these days.
Yeah. There you go. So what if actually maybe they should start making that, like instead of diamond tip drill bits, like Weetabix tip drill bits.
Save a fortune. It's the eco option, isn't it?
If you've got a really tough masonry job to do, get them.
Sure. I don't recommend giving your soon-to-be wife though a Weetabix ring. Like that's probably going to end up in a black eye. They're definitely not interchangeable in those scenarios.
Yeah. Don't matter how hard you polish a Weetabix. Like
yeah, sure.
So anyway, so that's what I'm going to try on the Mercedes. I think is fill at least one rust hole with ramen noodles and now Weetabix. But yeah, so you had your Metro and so you crashed that. How many cars have you crashed up to now, Tom? And I appreciate that I can't say this as smugly as I used to be able to, but sure. What are you at? What's your tally?
I think like total write-offs is 3.
So it's 106 on the roof.
Oh no! So that I can run you through from the beginning.
Okay.
So are we talking like bumps, or are we talking crashes?
No. Like I don't know about how many bumps you've had. You had loads. I'm talking about like the ones that I know that you've, because I get gypped from the audience about the fact that I put my Mercedes on its side. Everyone's like, oh, you put your car on your side, and then you got a convertible. Do
you know what I like so much about the fact you put on your? What I like about the fact you put your car on your side is not that you were like, afterwards, oh my god, what have I done? It's that you pulled your phone out and videoed it. Like within 60 seconds of like wiping that thing out, coming this close to death, you're like, quick, get this on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, seriously, I did it. I rolled it onto its side. As it landed on its side, I kind of went, ugh, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm still in my seat. And I was like, oh, quick, knock off the engine. Killed the engine, and then I was looking around and I'm like, how am I going to get out of here now? And I had to climb out through my window, which was now the sunroof, and I got out and I stood on the top and I was just about to jump down, and I remembered that my phone was stuck to my phone mount in the car. And so I reached back in, grabbed it, and then threw it down to one of the lads that was following me, and I was like, mate, take a picture of this quickly. And then I just did that picture. I'm like, and then jumped off, and then he was like, oh my god, are you okay, blah blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good. And he's like, I can't believe you're not bothered by it. And I was like, well, they sell more, like that's, I'm fine, they sell more cars. And the video was actually, I pulled my camera because my camera was in the boot, and so I pulled my camera out and then checked that because I wanted to make sure that hadn't messed up. And so that clip where I'm like, hey guys, so just on my way back from Producer Mike's shoot, and F my car, didn't I? That is literally like me testing the camera out. That's why there's no more footage after that.
Wow. And the camera survived the ordeal.
Yeah, everything survived apart from the car.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, cars... So I don't know about you, but certainly the first like major crash I had, at the time, you're just kind of like, you've got a big shot of adrenaline, and you're like, right, okay, what do I do? And you're kind of like crisis management mode, where it's like, okay, get the car back on its wheels, give it a push. Okay, I've got to get a recovery truck. What do I do next? And it was only the day after, like my first big smash, we ended up going back the next day for the car. The police put some of that blue tape across it, and then we went back with a wrecker and towed it out. But it was only going back that the shock of it all kind of like washed over me, and I was like, holy smokes, that was bad. Right. I think seeing the car afterwards, because I wrecked the car.
What did you do? Was that the one you hit the roundabout with?
So the roundabout one, I can't even remember that.
Maybe
that's just your fuzzy memory.
You told me you put a 106 on its roof on a wet roundabout.
So okay, so there's a few stories there that are getting confused.
Okay,
so I got 3 points for drifting a 106 around a roundabout in the wet. And the funny thing is, so like I came into this roundabout way too hot, bags of understeer, lift off, loads of oversteer, and like through pure luck. I am definitely not a rally god, although I claim to be one occasionally. Put this thing like fully sideways and then recovered it, and I was like, holy smokes, like that's what oversteer is. I can do it. Oh my goodness. And then in the distance, like in the a speck of a car in the distance, I see the lights go on, and I'm like, all right, well, probably wasn't for me. It must be an ambulance that's getting called to a job or whatever. And the slowest high-speed chase you've ever seen, because the guy it wasn't a police car. It was like a big transit riot van. And so I'd come off this roundabout and then started to climb this huge hill. And the little 106 is not known for its power output. And so I'm like, down from 5th to 4th to 3rd. And you're just like, hang on to 3rd. I don't want to go for 2nd. Like, come on. And this big police van is getting closer and closer, but I kid you not, it must have taken him maybe 15 minutes to catch me. And the whole time he's got the blue lights on, and I'm like, well, it's probably an ambulance. It's getting dark. I can't see it behind me.
Yeah.
And so eventually, like, it gets close enough, and so like I put the indicator on to let him pass, and he doesn't go past, and then I get slower and slower so he can get past. And he doesn't go past, and then eventually I stop. And so does he. And so, yeah, that's how I got my first 3 points, drifting around a roundabout.
Well,
but anyways, the 106 I never wrote off.
Okay.
The first car I smashed up was a bright yellow Fiat Seicento Sporting.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely certain they never made it to the American market. They were very Italian, tiny cars, like the modern equivalent of a Fiat 500, but like late 90s Fiat 500, not the bloated thing that they sell now. Are you finding a picture of it?
You keep telling the story, and I'm going to pull up a picture.
Nice. So yeah, that one, I was at college. I think I was dropping my sister off somewhere, and in the middle of the road there was a house brick.
Oh, God.
And so I swerved to miss it, and instead of, like, if I'd have done nothing, it would have gone straight under the car. What actually happened is that I managed to clobber the house brick with my front right wheel. Completely blew the tire off, bent the alloy, and that was the end of the wheel. Fortunately, the car came with a space saver, but because I was a penniless student, what I did was drive on the space saver for about a month. I had no money to repair the wheel, let alone buy a new tire. Let alone repair the wheel. Well, yeah, whichever way around that is. Both of them were cooked. And so, yeah, I drove around on this space saver, like, the ones. Say 50 kph.
I lost you for a second. Then we had a bit of a disconnect. So you said you drove around on the space saver for a month, and then you said the ones that what?
I didn't have enough cash to get it fixed, and so again I think I was going out or something. It had just rained. When you get like a month of dry weather and then just like a sprinkling of wet.
Yeah, and all the grease comes to the surface.
Exactly that. They go from ultra sticky to like deadly in a moment. That's my excuse anyway. Nothing to do with like the rubber band of a tire that I was driving on. And anyway, I just blasted past someone, came into a corner too hot, loads of understeer, lift off because I don't know what I'm doing, and the car literally like went from this to straight sideways down the road. And so I'm sliding down both lanes. The front wheel dips inside like a drain grate, like a low grate. And then that was it. We're off on the merry-go-round.
How many did you do?
I think I did 3.
Ugh. So
three full turns.
For everybody wondering, this is what Tom. Oh, let's see if we can get this in focus here. This is what Tom did those 3 rolls over in. That is a beautiful looking car.
Yeah. To be fair, that's the Mark 1. I had the facelift.
Oh, you did?
The one to lust after was the Schumacher version, the Michael Schumacher special edition. If you can believe that he would lend his name to something as ridiculous as that, it must have been for piles and piles of money.
Let me see. I'm looking. I didn't even know they made a Schumacher edition.
Yeah, that was the one. That was you'd made it if you were driving a Schumacher Fiat Seicento.
What? So this is a Schumacher one. It looks no different to the other one.
Oh, it's got a body kit, and I think like the seat belts might be red.
So here's a Schumacher edition. That's
not a bad looking car.
It's not a good looking car. That right there is not a good looking car. Yeah, they kind of, I think hatchbacks, 90s hatchbacks sort of lost their way a little bit in the middle there. They did really well, like the, oh God, let's see if we can get this autofocus to come back. There we go. Lovely. Yeah, they kind of lost their way. I think the Renault 5 was such a great looking, ugly but great looking. Like those Renault 5 turbos, they were a cool looking hatchback.
100%. And they're aging well and worth a fortune now.
Yeah, and the Vauxhall Nova as well. Another great looking car.
Same story.
Rally, if you like, I remember my mate Mark Thwaites had a white Vauxhall Nova on some like Compomotive 5-spokes with an exhaust on it. Exhaust, red mud flaps. It was a white car. It had an exhaust, red mud flaps. He had like tuned it up. The thing was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, and that was such a great car. They don't make them like they used to.
I mean, I think you're right in as much as they don't make them like they used to for good reason.
We just had a big old disconnect then. I noticed my video going a bit weird, but we're back. Okay. We're back. You're saying that they don't make them like they used to for a good reason?
I mean, yeah, they don't make them like they used to for a good reason, because if you were to smash up a Vauxhall Nova that had sills made of ramen noodles, like you'd be completely dead.
It's true. They weren't the safest of vehicles, that's for sure. But I did like it. Like, I don't know. I guess everybody kind of has that period of time that they look back on, and it's just like, yeah, the cars were. I remember getting a Max Power magazine and opening it up and being like, ooh, cars, and you know,
90s hatchbacks were like, I mean, the cars you mentioned, the Nova. The 106, not so much. That was a bit late. Oh, Peugeot 205.
Yeah.
Renault 5. Those were they all kind of like went through that 90s. Max Power is the only way to really describe it, with like wild body kits and, you know, flip paint jobs and like ridiculous amounts of speakers in the boot.
Yeah. Those 205 GTIs in the red with the striped seats, like the kind of, they were almost like a plaid type seat with like little stripes in there. The tricolor, that was a good looking car. A mate of mine, his dad had one, and he swapped the the MI16 engine. Swapped one of those in, and that thing was a beast. That was like 250 or 260 horsepower, which now sounds like nothing. But in a car that weighs less than a ton, it's not bad at all.
Decent power to weight ratio.
When
I had the Metro, there was, because they run, I don't know, I'll give you some real nerd stuff now. They run the K series engine, which is
the 1.8 from Rover.
Yeah, that's it. And a lot of people used to swap those out from like the MGFs when they first came out I say a lot of people, a hardcore contingent of nerds. Would pull those engines out of the MGF and put them in the Metro. And I can tell you, having one with about 40 horsepower was frightening. Like, 50 miles an hour felt like warp 6. Having something with 160 brake horsepower in it would have been like, just danger, just pure danger.
Yeah. Oh no, they were crazy. I had a friend. Yeah, we're having some internet issues. Tom is currently in his shed in his garden, so the internet probably isn't as strong as it could be. Can you still hear me? Hello? Tom, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. What I'm doing is just, you're still there. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. I can, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, janky internets. Apologies.
That's
I couldn't run a Cat 5.
Oh, you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I know. Mate, my router's in the loft and I'm in the garden.
Oh, no. You not have poked it out through a roof tile.
Yeah, the only option would have been some of that moonbeam stuff that you so love.
Moonbeam. Oh yeah, you're like power through the power, internet through power thing.
You've got it. Do you still not believe that it's a technology,
it's
or
not,
have
not
you been
real.
turned yet?
It's not real. So
internet's through the power cord.
I went to Tom's house and he had these things plugged into his wall that he maintains were ways to send internet through the power sockets. So you turn a power socket into an internet squirter, and there is no way in hell. I don't believe you. It's
The power of
not
technology. We could put a man on the moon, but you can't put internet through a copper cable.
exactly. It's not real. Not a power cable. It's not what it's made for. It has to go through an internet pipe. Internet pipes for internet, power pipes for pipe. Power,
Yeah,
pipe,
that's it.
power pipe.
May they never meet. Don't mix your business and your pleasure.
So
Unless you're a YouTuber, of course.
exactly, yeah, and then that's exactly what I'm doing. So you flip the Seicento Sporting. What else have you done? Give us just a brief rundown of the other ones.
So I fell asleep at the wheel of a Fiat Punto after a big night out in London. That was a bad shout.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Stuck that in the central reservation of the M40, I think. Kind of like nodded off. Got the brrr in the gravel again. Yeah, overcorrected and then into the Amco. I mean, whilst it wrote the car off, it wasn't a big smash. It just kind of like dragged it all along the side.
Yeah.
That was a bad day at the office. And then I think, my Ibiza, I put that on its side as well. That was So the thing is though, the first like string of smashes that I had all happened within a space of about 18 months because I just got my license. I was 17 years old and I was a complete flipping moron. Like there's no other way to sugarcoat it. Like young men in cars are dickheads. And I know that it probably makes up a large contingent of your audience, but like your first car should not be £100,000 Mercedes because you will smash it up. It's not a case of if, it is when. Like that stuff is getting written off.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, I think it was the week after I passed my driving test, I went down the back lanes by my sixth form and coming into a corner, like a little hot, and I went to go from third to second and I went from third to fourth. And no engine braking, definitely no brakes that were good enough for that in 1.6 Mark IV Golf. And I got round that corner by the skin of my teeth. And I remember doing that and being like, okay, that was a lesson that I was gifted a kind of like, free life. I got like a 1-up after that because that shouldn't have gone the way that it did. I should have put that into a bush. But I definitely had a couple of moments when I was younger. But the annoying thing about the Mercedes is that I was with two younger lads, and as we were driving through the canyons, we were driving spiritedly. We weren't driving recklessly. I mean, I'm an old man now, so I don't have anything to prove. I'm not trying to set lap times. But we were linking turns together and having a nice time. And when we got to the top of the hill, I said to them, when we pulled up, because I noticed that one of them was driving a little bit over. He was getting a bit overconfident in a standard car, and I could see it getting like kind of out of shape. And I said to them, I was like, look, lads, we need to drive sensibly here. The worst thing can happen is that one of us ends up stuffing our car and then we can't come back for 6 months. We want to be able to do this every week because it's so much fun. Come up here, have a good time, go home safe, enjoy our cars. I literally had that conversation. So that's the mindset that I was in going back down the hill. And then we come down the hill and just a miscommunication between me and the guy in front of me. Come into this corner way too hot. Not too hot as in like I wasn't racing through the corner, but because he had waved me by to overtake him, or so I thought, I was just in completely the wrong place on the road. Luckily, it was a closed road the other way, so we knew, because it was right after the fires, so we knew that there was no traffic coming the other way. But yeah, just went around this corner, hit the weird camber, locked up the front right, and the rest was history. And yeah, so that was the annoying thing, is that it wasn't even that when I crashed it, I was driving too fast, or like I was, racing. I crashed it because I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, basically. And that was what was most frustrating about it, because as I got out, I was like, I just had this conversation. Like, I had all the right intentions, and I still managed to stuff it into a wall. But everything has every cloud has a silver lining. And to be honest with you, that car now, the position that I'm in with the green car is way better, because obviously the green car is pre-smog. So it means that I don't have to worry about smogging it. So I kind of dodged a bullet with that one.
I thought it was cream. Is it green?
Green, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I have to look at my pictures. I was almost certain it was like a light cream. Maybe it's like that dress.
No. You're thinking about the dog snotter that I just bought. So I have two old Mercedes. So I have the green E300, which is the one that's getting the 500 horsepower turbo diesel. That's going to be the full race car. And then I have the 82 240D, and that's going to be the dog's car. So that's the one that I'm using for him, and I'm going to like chop the springs and paint it matte black. And I sent you that picture of the race car, right?
Yeah. I remember seeing the race car. I didn't realize, or maybe you had. In my mind, you've still got Ron Burgundy, like the brown Mercedes, but that was obviously the one you smashed up.
No, Ron Burgundy is gone Burgundy now. He
oh man.
Yeah, so you're thinking about this car. So that is the Mercedes that I've just bought for the dog, and then
Classic.
This is the inspiration behind how I'm going to go with the styling.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the whole... that's like a W210 front bumper, I believe. So I'm just going to buy like a cheap plastic aftermarket parts bumper. And then, yeah, everything will be satin black. So that thing should be...
Nice. Are headlights a requirement in California?
They are, yeah. I'll have... oh, God, I'm out of focus again. Yeah, I'll have headlights. I'm just going to paint them, like the surround will be black. And I think I might actually do like a yellow... you know how like the Euro cars have like yellow headlights?
Yeah.
So I think
like
I might...
The tinted...
Mm-hmm. It looks like it already has yellow bulbs in there. So, yeah, I think I'll probably do that. And then I'm going to put a roof rack on it and a light bar, because I've got a light bar in my garage that I've never used. So it's going to be like...
I don't even know what that style is. Like I want to say like Bozuko JDM, but is it Euro Rat? What is that? What is the style of the picture you just showed me?
That's a full-blown race car. That's like an old W123 like DTM race car.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, to shoot you down. I thought it looked like some sort of... Show me the picture again.
What do you know,
Oh, no,
Tom?
it'll just get you out of focus. You can send it to me later.
What do you know, Tom? That if you can't tell that is a race car, it has a roll cage in it. It's completely stripped out. So if you can't tell, and it has that front air dam on it, and it says C&B Racing on the top. So you may know about aeroplanes, mate, but you don't know shit about cars, apparently.
Yeah, true fact. I mean, the thing is, though, like I see a big sunscreen across the top, and I expect it to say, like, you know, Phil and Janice or whatever, like his and hers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With one of those suckered Garfields in the
oh my God. I remember they always were in the back of Ford Sierra Cosworths.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was a guy at college who had we used to call it the Gandrover. I'll let you I'll let you guess why. But yeah, that was covered in like, there was that, and was there do you remember the stick-on fingers? So it looked like someone had like, they looked like severed fingers that you would stick on like a boot shut or a door.
Oh, so they looked like they were poking out from the boot.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone was trying to escape. It was just full of tat. It was a stoner's cut. What do you expect?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's funny. Well, look, let's get onto aeroplanes, because I wanted to ask you about obviously you're so you've moved on from Shobden. You're no longer at a grass runway airfield, and now you're working on the big boy jets.
Sure.
Just give people a rundown on the kind of aircraft that you work on and the type of work that you do now.
Yeah, so now it's all biz jets, the stuff I do. Most of them are flown by crews. They tend not to be flown by their owners. You know, it's the sort of thing that you buy and have someone take you from A to B. The stuff that I look after it's almost all Cessnas. We do a couple of Falcons. I mean, I know that doesn't mean a lot, but yeah, Citations. Taylor Swift has got one, apparently, a Falcon.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know any other famous people that ride Cessnas. They're all in, like, big stuff. But yeah, I mean, these are little things. They tend to do about, I don't know, 1,500 miles. Like, maybe, yeah, that's the sort of range you're looking at. So something big enough to have a toilet, but small enough that you're probably not going to cross an ocean in a Wanna.
Right, got you. Okay, so 1,500 miles then from, let's say, from London. Where would 1,500 miles land you? South of France?
Yeah, probably south of France, like well into Europe. I mean, if you were lucky and planned it well, it might get you to like the tip of Africa.
Oh wow,
but,
okay.
Yeah, kind of like, and certainly I think some of the bigger small aircraft that we look after, the kind of like if you draw a circle around your base, the two measurements that everyone wants to do is kind of like London to, I don't know if it's Germany somewhere, and the other one is coast to coast across America, kind of like New York to Los Angeles.
Do you look after American planes?
That in a oneer, that's yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff we've got is on the American register simply because it's less hassle. Like things that are registered to European countries, as long as you're not paying for a seat on them, you know, if it's yours or it's free, the American system's way less restrictive.
Right. Okay.
And so yeah, a lot of owners tend to go with that just because of the cost savings.
Oh, interesting. What? So just the regulations on safety and stuff aren't as high over here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it sounds crazy to say it, but yeah, like a manufacturer will say, okay, you've got to change this widget every 5 years, and the European system will say, right, okay, well, you know, we've got some field experience, we think you should change it every 3, and the American system will say, well, you make the call. You know, it's up to the engineer. In fact, I would say that's probably the core difference between the way the Yanks do it and the way the rest of the Europe does it. In as much as in Europe, if you make a mistake, it's because you weren't following the procedure or you didn't kind of like tick every box. Whereas the American system, if you make a mistake, the liability is with you. You know, they're a lot more willing to let you make a call on something that's airworthy rather than and I mean, this doesn't apply to larger jets, like transport category stuff. Everything is, you know, to the letter. There's no wiggle room there. But when you get into the smaller kind of like general aviation and certainly the smaller biz jets, yeah, you do get a little bit more leeway in how you operate them.
Right. Interesting. Got you. And so how are people getting these smaller planes then if they're registered in the US? Do the planes physically have to be there, or can you just register an aeroplane there? Are there loopholes? Or are people like island hopping all the way, like puddle jumping all the way from North America back to Europe with them?
You hit the nail on the head. It's loopholes.
Right. So your aeroplane doesn't have to have even been in the US?
No. So the way they do it is you have to have, I think it has to be registered with a holding company, and so there are like shell companies you can buy or you can do business with for like $300 a month, depending on the size of the aircraft. $300 a year, where they will be the registered owner of your aircraft. You know, air quotes. And as long as it's registered to a US company, then you know airplanes go all over the world, and so you can obviously keep them wherever you like.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Is that the more you earn, the more money you have. Kind of as things get up there in terms of taxes and regulations and stuff, there's more people going to be looking for loopholes and ways to sort of get around it. So, I guess it's good for you that you're certified on the US stuff, because that means you can work on it over here, right? Or over there, should
exactly.
I say?
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, those airplanes go everywhere. They go all over the world. And so, you know, anywhere you'll find an American airplane, you'll find someone with an American license. But I mean, there are other countries that are more attractive in terms of, you know, a lot of the time it's done for tax. There were some loopholes in Europe where if you imported an aircraft, any aircraft from outside, I think it was Denmark. If you bought the aircraft through Denmark, you had to land, register it there, and then, you know, go on to where you were going. You dodged all of the tax that would have been due on like a new purchase. In the same way, like, you know, when you buy something from China and you get stung with import tax, like it's the same thing when you buy an airplane. And so, yeah, the Isle of Man is a big one. Guernsey, like those little island principalities off the coast of the UK. A lot of bigger airplanes will be registered with an M. So the first letter will be an M rather than N, like it is in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost always done for tax reasons. You know, if you've dropped 60 or 70 million, 20% on top of that is a serious chunk of change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I mean, it's nuts, isn't it? When you're talking about that much, what would 70 million get you? What kind of airplane are you looking at for that?
I mean, it might get you like an old secondhand Global Express, that's like a small airliner.
Mm-hmm.
I think 60 million will get you like a Falcon 7X. I would show you a picture, but I'm not going to be able to hold it up to the camera because it won't autofocus.
Let me look. So Falcon 7X.
Yeah, that's a nice size airplane.
Falcon 7X.
That's the sort of thing that gives you a...
Yeah, that looks like a Flybe airplane.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that Taylor Swift is rocking around in. But that'll give you a bedroom, maybe a couple of toilets, like a lounge and a kitchen.
Yeah, for sure. So for you guys watching this on YouTube, that is what we're talking about right there. So you've got the jet, you've got an engine on either side of the tail, and then you've got the one that sits on the top as well. Why is there one that sits? Is it just if some is good, more is better? Just 3 engines?
100%.
Or is that top
It's exactly
one
that.
something else?
That top one, I think I read a promotional like brochure a couple of weeks ago, and apparently the third one is for ramp presence.
Ramp presence.
Yeah, it's like, you pull up and I want my jet to look cool when I arrive.
Wow, that's pretty.
There's no reason you couldn't have built that aircraft with 2 engines and just used slightly more powerful ones.
Right, yeah, exactly. Made each engine 25% bigger, and then there you go.
Exactly.
Ah, that's cool. So yeah, that's kind of the equivalent of having like one of those big superchargers sticking out the bonnet of an old American muscle car. That's fun. Wow, $60 million. That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think that, yeah, you could, I mean, imagine the houses that you could buy for 60 million. If you had, okay, hypothetical, someone gives you $60 million or 60 million pounds, whatever you want to spend, what do you do with it? You have to buy things. You have to buy things.
So I don't have to buy, can I buy houses?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I wouldn't buy houses. I wouldn't buy houses. I would probably just rent houses. Like, I like the idea of, I would have my pad. It would probably be big enough to land an airplane at.
Oh, we're having another fart on your internet there, Tom. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello? Tom, can you hear me? Oh. Sorry about this, guys. I apologize for the for the weirdness that's going on here. Yeah, Tom, like I said, he's in a shed in his garden on Wi-Fi. So
I can hear you loud.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I had you the whole way through. It's obviously my transmissions that are.
Yeah, we got you saying you would.
But yeah, 60 million.
So I got you up saying you would rent a house. It would be big enough to to land a plane, but then.
Oh no, I think I would buy one house, but I wouldn't have like many houses.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think 3. I think is probably the sweet spot. Like a crash pad.
3 houses.
My goal, I think, would be to have an island. Like I want a tropical island with a nice house on the island that would be my sort of main residence, and then have maybe like a couple of crash pads elsewhere.
Do you think 60 million would get you an island?
Depends on where the island is. there's a few little
very small nice island or a very big bad island.
There's a few little sandbars off the coast of Skegness, I hear.
Yeah, you might get wet socks.
Yeah, you have to sweep away the cans and like use condoms and stuff every now and again. But I guess six. No, probably wouldn't. You're probably talking in the hundies, aren't you, for an island? But yeah, I think I would like something somewhere tropical, and then maybe a couple of crash pads, maybe like a European crash pad, and then a West Coast America crash pad. Like this. Yeah. I mean, this place that I'm in now is ideal. Like it's perfect. If you just rented this all year round and just came here just to hang out, it's by the beach. I've got parking. Like. Yeah, it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things if you're worth £60 million.
Sure. Do you know what? The one thing that I would, or like I see super rich people spend their money on, a personal assistant, like having someone whose entire job is to do your admin, like the amount of stress that lifts, like that's definitely something I would consider. Did you buy car insurance this month? Is that electricity bill paid? All that sort of crap.
Yeah.
Like just farm that out to someone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see where you're going with this point. If I had 60 million, would I buy a jet? No way.
Yeah.
No way, man. Like that is a way to spend money. Like we've had one just come back from a pretty big check in the States. So it's one of those 7Xs that you've just showed us. Take a guess on what the bill for that check was.
Was it just like a service? Just came back for having some work done?
It was a big one.
A big service.
It was a big one. It's what they call a C check. So it's like it's the heaviest service you'll probably do, bar maybe one.
Okay, so I'll try and be educated about this. So if you've got a $200,000 supercar and you go take it in for a service, you can sometimes come out with a $5,000 service bill, right?
So what's that, like 2.5% of its value?
Yeah, 2.5. So Alexa, what's 2.5% of 60 million?
2.5% of 60 million is 1.5 million.
You're in the ballpark.
No.
It was about 800K.
$800,000 just for a service?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, just to kick the dice and change the oil. Hey, man, airplane maintenance is easy money.
Wow.
Put a couple of air fresheners up, jobs are good.
Wow. Back the seats out, like, yeah, job done.
You got it. Yeah.
God.
Make sure you put some of those nice auto smart mats down.
Yeah. Wow. That's. But I mean, there you go. I'm saying wow because 800 grand is a lot of money, but so is 60 million. You know what I mean? It's like it's all relative. It's all relative.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think there comes a point where it just doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that if you are the type of person that can drop 60 mil on an aeroplane that you use, because I know that there are people that buy aeroplanes purely for tax purposes. You know, they buy them and it's just a full-blown tax write-off. And, you know, that's fine. Like, that's definitely a smart... I would say that's probably a smart way to buy an aeroplane. You know, make it work for you rather than you have to work for it to fucking fly around.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys that do end up buying a big jets will give them to charter companies to run whilst they're not using them.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, if you've only got to run to your Russian palace once a week, it's crazy to have that asset sat for, 6 days out of 7 doing nothing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That I know that very well. People that will do that with their airplanes, and it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, you pay, somebody else is then paying to. It's the same as renting out your house, you know, like leasing a holiday home. Like, you want to use it for a month out of the year, great. Well, for the remaining 11 months, have someone else pay your mortgage for you.
Yeah. Although the other end of that, or the extreme end of that spectrum, is I once saw one of those loaded up with someone shopping to take it to their castle. Although I assume the aircraft was going to the castle and the guy was there and was going to be eventually picked up by it. But like seeing a jet like that filled up with, Waitrose bags.
Oh wait,
I'm like,
you mean food shopping? Yeah. I thought you meant like shopping. Louis Vuitton bags.
No, like food for the castle. Like, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It was obviously easier to buy the shopping and then send it up and pick the dude up than it was to try and get a delivery slot at 10 o'clock at night.
Ocado turning up at the Schloss.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, that's nuts. And so how's all of this COVID craziness affected the industry? Like, are people, because obviously regular flights are being grounded left, right and center. What about people with business jets? Are they still able to fly around?
I mean, in the beginning, when everybody was grounded, a lot of this stuff was parked up just as a precaution. The big problem with business aviation is it uses the same channels as commercial. So like getting crews to jets is a big problem. If you've got an airline that's not running, if my jet's in Prague and there are no flights to Prague, there's no way I can get my jet from Prague.
Right.
And quarantine as well has been giving crews a lot of aggro. I know a couple of pilots who do surveillance flights in the Mediterranean, and their original mission would have been, I think, 3 or 4 weeks out there, flying the coast for boats, for immigration control, all that sort of thing. And they've now got that 3-week mission that's bookended by 2 weeks either side of quarantine.
Right.
And so you've turned what would have been 3 weeks doing your work into a 7-week epic, 4 of which are stuck in a hotel room watching Netflix.
Yeah. Well,
so,
Ross, obviously.
That's difficult.
Ross Jackson, so a mate of mine, Ross, he's a saturation diver. In fact, if you guys have watched my YouTube videos, I went to see Ross when I was back at Christmas this last year, and we went and did the pit biking and stuff, and he's got the old American truck. But yeah, Ross, he's a sat diver, and he's just come back from a trip, and they had to do that. They had to quarantine for 2 weeks before they went into the chamber, and there was someone posted up in the hallway to stop them, to make sure that they didn't try and sneak out and go for a curry. He said it was hell. They were in like some crappy Holiday Inn or something, just couldn't even open the window, like really gross for 2 weeks.
But I mean, the other side of that coin is what happens if you have contracted it and you're stuck like in a pressurized chamber in the middle of the ocean.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No, I mean it's definitely the right call, but it still sucks that for him to go and do his
100%.
work, that's what he had to do. But no, I mean that's crazy that people are being affected. So these pilots are being affected because there's pilot and co-pilot, I presume. They're not flying solo missions.
Yeah. So I mean, the heavier stuff, it's very rare for a bigger airplane to be single pilot certified. Almost all of them require 2 crew.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So I mean, apart from the big scare, everybody kind of like shut down. Nothing was flying. Things are kind of like coming back. I mean, the thing that will slow the industry down right now is people's appetite for travel, not necessarily their capability to travel in the business sector anyway.
Right.
You know, everyone's doing Zoom calls, everyone's using Skype, and actually, you know, do you really need to schlep it through an airport? Because yeah, it's just a lot of unnecessary risk. And I don't think it's going to be a big problem long term for business. I think because if you're the sort of individual who can afford to drop, you know, $60 on a jet, you're probably okay to, you know, watch it devalue, have it sat idle, all of these things. I don't think they're the sort of owners that are likely to, you know, have to shut up shop.
Right.
Whereas the airlines, you know, a lot of those run on absolute razor thin profits. You know, I've got a little app on my phone called Flight Radar, and I'm forever getting pinged with, okay, you know, British Airways last flight of this, like, what are the couple of the domestic carriers in America?
There's Delta. You've got
I think
Spirit.
it was Delta. So I saw a thing today. Delta are like retiring a load of their fleet, and I think for a lot of that stuff, it just means it'll be scrapped. Some of it'll get the seats pulled out and it'll be reconfigured for cargo. But I mean, if the market's flooded with airplanes that you know could be used for cargo, their worth is very little, and so often it's more economic to just tear them up for parts.
Really? Wow, that's insane, isn't
So
it?
yeah,
I saw a video recently of like a load of planes just parked up in the middle of the desert, just flown out and left. But they've got crews out there who are having to do like full run-up procedures on these things because you can't just let an aeroplane sit, can you? It's not like a car where you can jack it up off its suspension, and as long as you turn it on once every 6 months, it'll probably be okay for a year. Like they take looking after.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can't leave them for long periods of time. There are always limitations on how long an airplane can sit for without either being powered up or having the engines kind of like fired up and ran. But often, like I saw, it must have been maybe a month ago now, some of the smaller airlines in the UK, it was actually cheaper to take a crew and have it do 4 or 5 laps, you know, to take off, do a lap of the airfield and then land, than it was to transport it to long-term storage and then pay, you know, a third party ultimately to have to look after that thing for you. Because all of these airlines that are either retiring or shoring up these aircraft for long periods of time, like they've got no operational bases at the airfields where these aircraft are stored. Yeah. And so your maintenance bill immediately starts to climb. Whereas at least if you're still using the aircraft, you know, you're keeping it internal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's funny because after I watched that video, I saw an Emirates ad where they'd done this film. You may have seen it, where they're talking about the fact that during this time they're refreshing their entire fleet. It's like amazing marketing, because rather than being like, oh, we've got to keep our planes grounded and stuff, they're like, we're redoing seat covers. We're like, there's somebody like, you know, ironing a seat cover. It's like we're doing this, that, and the other, so that you know that when we get back in the air again, you'll be on basically a brand new aeroplane. And I was like, fair play, that's a great way to do it. While everyone else is like, oh, we've got to park up our planes, they're like, oh yeah, no, we're revamping ours. When you know fine well they're just doing the same thing, and they're just like, yeah, whipping off some seat covers and replacing the ones that've got holes in them. Yeah,
sure. I mean, having said that, if you're an airline that's got some money, like downtime is the enemy of profit. The thing that kills airlines is just not having availability. And so if your demand is down, like I know a lot of airlines now are trying to get maintenance companies to bring their big checks forward. But again, it's like everybody trying to get through the same door at the same time. The maintenance companies are busy, and that's I'm fortunate in as much as we're getting busier now. I had my last day of fun today. I got called back to work this afternoon.
Oh, really?
The dream is over. Like I thought maybe this was going to be my summer of love. Maybe 3 months off. Like even now, I think I've been off for 6 weeks whilst things were were cooling off. This is the longest period of time I've had off since I was a kid.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed it?
I don't want to like belittle what the COVID-19 is, but I'm having a whale of a time, man. This unemployment thing, I could do this for a job.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, like, at first I found it a little bit odd, because for me nothing's changed in terms of I'm still having to do the same. I'm still putting out 2 videos a week. I'm putting out 3 now because I'm doing 2 on my channel a week. I'm still like selling the merch, like all that. So all of my stuff is carried on. So there are days where I sit there and I just go, do you know, I'd like a bloody day off. Like, I'd like to be able to just chill out and go to the beach and not have to worry about the next thing that's coming. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see, like, my mum, she's the same. She's been furloughed and they're doing bits of work. And now she's like, now that they're ramping up, she's like, I don't like it. I've got to do like 2 phone calls today, and it's funny because she's such a hard worker, and when things are back to normal, she doesn't stop. But yeah, she's like getting quite into it. So I can see that. I understand why you'd be into it. Have you been doing anything? Have you had any like projects while you've been off?
I mean, I've had a lot of big projects, but nothing really that interesting. It's mostly been like house renovation stuff. The shed that I'm sat in, the exterior of it is now finished. It only took me 5 years. That's not 5 years to finish the exterior. That was 5 years to like start from a hole in the ground to where we are today. So yeah, this past 4 weeks, I finished it off.
I remember, it was right before I moved to America. I came over to your house one day to help with pouring the concrete slab that it sits on.
I found those pictures the other day.
Yeah.
So Nick and I were scrolling through our phones, my wife, and it was like, hey, look at these pictures of our garden, and seeing the evolution from like when we moved in, because the house we're in now was owned by like an old couple who obviously had a lot of time on their hands because the garden was well tended, and seeing it go from how we bought it to how it is now. I am the worst neighbor I would ever want to live next door to, because it was a freaking building site, man.
It's like Steptoe's yard.
Oh, it was bad, man. Because I mean, like, you were here when we poured the concrete. There's a lot of reinforced steel in this foundation, and so that was strewn across the garden like it was a scrapyard. In fact, it would have probably been nicer as a scrapyard, because at least there would have been like a dog on a bit of string for some color.
Right.
Instead, it was just like sad, derelict building site.
Yeah, it was pretty
yeah, here
gross.
We are today. Like the exterior is all finished up, and yeah, I mean now I've got to go back to work. I guess it'll slow down, but yeah, I think by the end of the summer I'll have the interior all plastered and painted.
Nice. Well,
but yeah, in terms of like fun hobby projects, there's not been a huge amount.
What's funny about that man cave of yours is that I remember when you told me about the concept before you'd even put in the first peg in the ground to map it out. And you were like, so what I'm thinking is I want like an inspection pit so I can work on my car. I want a log burner in there so that with a little chimney, like maybe even like a little mezzanine level, kind of a sitting area in there. So it can just be like a man cave, where I can go in there and work on my car. And that's what I want it for. It's like my space where I can go and just, I've always wanted one. 5 years later. And it's a princess playroom covered in glitter and sparkly fairy lights.
Yeah, this is my life. Yeah, my 4-year-old daughter is entirely taken over.
So it's now just a room for her.
The only thing, like the thing that keeps me sane, is I keep telling myself this too shall pass. Like it won't be long.
Before she's 18 and she'll be gone.
Yeah, she's moved out. Yeah, exactly that, and I'll get it back.
Oh man!
Or the other thing that keeps getting dangled is, we'll finish it and then we'll move. And I'm like, no, I want to enjoy it. I have to at least reap the benefit of like all this work throughout the years. I've got to at least, I need to have at least a year with it done. Like
right.
That would hurt to not have enjoyed it in its completion.
No, absolutely. Well, the last time I came over, I think it was completed enough that. Was it called the red room or the blue room? What did you call it?
Oh yeah, it was the blue room. Yeah, you're right.
So I went over to Tom's, and his little girl was like, "Daddy, can we go to the blue room?" And I was like, "What the hell is the blue room?" And he's like, "It's in the shed." And I'm like, wait, and it was like something from a horror movie, you know, like someone recounting, like a poor child recounting a story of when they were like abducted and kept in the blue room. And basically the blue room was like the eaves, like the pointed roof area of the shed where it was just blue tarp covering it. And apparently that's where Tom takes his daughter to go and play, up amongst the splinters and the nails and the rats up there.
Yeah, you've got it. Well, it's that classic trope. You know, you buy a kid a toy and the most interesting thing is a box. Like you build your kid a playroom, the most interesting thing is the loft space.
The blue room. It was so just, Daddy, can we go to the blue room? And I'm like, oh my God, what is this?
Where's the blue room? I mean, when I heard can we go to the blue room? I'm thinking like, you know, the place that your guests stay before they come on your show. It's kind of like the green room.
The green, yeah. Yeah, like green room, just a little bit colder, a little bit more drafty.
Yeah, a little bit more pikey.
So, let's talk about magic beans.
Magic beans.
So
now there's a topic. Get me going on.
One of Tom's other passions, other than making playrooms for his daughter that take 5 years and polishing aircraft, is magic beans. And what I mean by that is Bitcoin or Ethereum or Ripple or any number of other
cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, magic beans, as I call them.
Yeah.
This began a long time ago, didn't it? Because I remember when I was still living in Warwick, I was still living in the UK, and you were like, mate, you need to buy some of these. And I was like, what are they? And you're like, they're called Bitcoin, and they're going to be worth a fortune. And I was like, okay, how much are they? And you were like, well, they're about £280. £280 per coin. But right now it's fluctuating.
Yeah, I think that was about right.
260, 280, around that. So if you can spare it, you should get some. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I don't have a lot, but I could probably throw like 800 quid at it. So I think I bought, like three Bitcoins.
I think we bought both of ours at your house.
I think you already got some, but I think we bought more. I think you showed me how to do it, and we did it on my laptop after we went for a Sunam or something.
And it was super sketchy. It wasn't like now if you want to go buy Bitcoin, you know, you just plug buy Bitcoin into Google and go to like a verified legal exchange. Whereas when we bought ours, it was like bank transfer, some dodgy guy who you've never met.
Yeah.
And hope, because there's no comeback, there's no customer service, hope that he sends you some Bitcoin.
Yeah. We went on to whatever that website was where there's just like what it's being offered for, and you just message the person. You're like, hello, could I please buy some of your Bitcoins? And he's like, yes, sir, please send this to this Nigerian bank account. And you go, okay, here it is. Yeah, it was sketchy. Like I remember being
100%.
a bit like, okay. And then I think I bought them, and in the following week they went from like 280 up to about £360, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then
free money.
Yeah, and then the next week they just took a massive dump, and they dropped back down to 300, and I was like, okay, and then back down to 280, and I was like, oh, okay, now I'm stand to lose money. And then I think it ended up getting down to like 220 or 210, and I was like, I can't afford to lose this. It wasn't money that I could afford to lose, which was silly in hindsight. You know, I shouldn't have bought them if I couldn't have afforded to lose it. But yeah, so I sold, I think, all of mine for about 210 per coin. So £210, which at the time was probably somewhere around $360 or something. And at present, Bitcoin are now worth $9,533.42 per coin.
Nice. I think we actually cracked 10,000 earlier today, or maybe it was the day before, but yeah, the big 10, the magic 10 was recently.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, because it went up to
so
20. Was it 21 at the peak or 23 at the peak?
Yeah, I think it was 21k. Do you know how many Bitcoins I've got?
0.
0 Bitcoins. In fact, if I recall, did you not sell yours and buy a motorcycle?
No, you're actually mixing that up. So I sold my motorcycle and I bought Ethereum.
Oh no!
So basically, I was burned by my first Bitcoin experience because I ended up losing like 150 quid or something, and so I was really annoyed with Tom, and I was like, all right, these are just stupid magic beans. Like I don't want anything to do with them. So I left him to carry on with his Bitcoin empire, and I just left it well alone. as the year went on, like you started to become more successful with Bitcoin, and you invested it wisely, and you did all right, didn't you, for a bit with your BTCs.
Sure.
And then I remember it was before I moved here, and I remember we went out for a meal at the pub down the road from you, and you were like, all right, I got some new magic beans. And I was like, oh, here we go. And these magic beans were called Ethereum. And you were like, the technology behind this is great. Like, it processes payments faster than MasterCard or Visa or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, cool, great. Magic beans, like, perfect. I can lose some more money. I'll pass, thanks. And you're like, all right, well, look, they're doing this thing in this coming week, and they're going to be about like 25 cents or something per coin. So I'm going to buy, like, I don't know, however much you bought, a few hundred quid's worth. And I was like, and I was thinking about it. But I was just about getting ready to do the move. I just couldn't be bothered. And that was the second time that Tom screwed me with cryptocurrency, because he didn't push me hard enough to buy them. Because right now, Ethereum is currently worth $236.56 per coin. Now, it did go up all the way up to, like, what was it at its highest? 10?
1,200 quid?
Yeah.
$1,200? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, $1,200. So it did go up a fair whack, especially from 25 cents. But I did actually get into Ethereum later while I was here, and I did make some money. But the story that you were just talking about was when I so I had a Ducati Hypermotard, and I was selling it because I wanted an adventure bike. And so I decided that what I would do is sell the bike. I think I sold it for like six and a half grand, and the bike I wanted was 8.5. And the way that I'd been making money on Ethereum, if I'd put my motorbike money into Ethereum for a week at the current rate that it was going up, and that was an average rate, I wasn't just looking at the previous week, I would stand to make the money that I needed to get the adventure bike. So I was like, well, I've been going like this now for probably like 4 or 5 months, and it'd been just making money. And so I did it. I sold the bike. I bought the Ethereum, 6.5 grand's worth, and literally 48 hours later, it dropped by more than half. And I was just like, oh God, I just sold my Ducati for about $3,000. And so I'm still sitting on that loss. My Ducati is still currently only worth about $2,800 at this point. So I'm just waiting for that to go back up.
That is a killer. Oh, there we go. It's the space bar that I touched. Sorry, I was muted. But anyway, yeah, you're right. My advice is usually about technology. It is not sound financial advice. Like if you want someone to point out interesting things, new things, and blockchain, I feel, is here to stay, irrespective of whether or not it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or the next thing. Like it's just cheaper and faster and more robust than having a single person look after, things like payments. I think that's a technology that's here to stay. But it's the difference between being in the internet in like the late 1980s, government computer scientists, and being a YouTuber now. Like, you can be right, but the timing is important.
Yeah, exactly. And so where are you at the moment with crypto? Like what's the latest and greatest?
So yeah, I kind of like followed Bitcoin, Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum is still plodding along. Like it's a steady progress, but like all these things, if it's hard, it tends to take time. And people, I'm impatient. All I want to see is money go through the roof, and hooray, I can go buy my sandbar in Skegness. But yeah, the networks that are coming through at the moment, the ones that I'm keeping an eye on is one called Polkadot, and another one called Cosmos. Mm-hmm. And their thing is there's an old saying, I think it's, in a gold rush, it's better to sell shovels or something like that. Okay. And the point is with these two networks is that they're not necessarily cryptocurrencies in as much as, you use them to buy T-shirt or stuff like that.
Which you can get from swords.com if you go there right now. Thank you very much.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is brought to you by.
This is also something we're now offering. We are now doing face masks. So if you'd like to get yourself a face mask, then swords.com right now, $15, you can have them. Anyway,
They also double up as budgie smugglers.
They do.
Do you think you could get your legs through the elastic?
Oh no, I wouldn't get one of my big toes through the elastic. I think you'd have to be a pretty small person to get your legs through that.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. So you don't buy T-shirts with Ripple?
No, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan. Like, I think all of these technologies are interesting, but the thing for me has always been, or the question has always been, what problem does this solve? And so Bitcoin is like, oh, it's decentralized money. Ethereum was the original solution that or problem that was solving is how do you run a computer network in a distributed fashion? And so the Ethereum network, whilst it's full of tokens, and these days its main function is to transfer second layer tokens, it was actually set to run programs, to run smart contracts. You know, if this happens, then execute that. But do it in a way that, you know, if a server goes down, it doesn't make any difference. But anyway, Polkadot and Cosmos, the selling point of those, you know, the 30-minute elevator pitch is, okay, there are all of these different cryptocurrencies around. There's Bitcoin, there's Ripple, there's Ethereum, whatever. If I want to buy a T-shirt and I've only got Bitcoin and you only accept Ripple, how do I make that happen? And at the moment, the way it works is you've got to go to an exchange, you've got to sell your Bitcoin, you've got to get some Ripple, and then you either put that in a wallet and send it to, you know, the guy who's making the cool T-shirt, or you know, you download it to a wallet. And that's a pain in the ass. Like, it's a major pain in the ass. You know, it's like having to go to a travel exchange when you go to a foreign country. Whereas, you know, these days you've got smart cards, smart bank accounts where you can just, you know, transfer it on the fly. And so, yeah, Cosmos and Polkadot, the idea behind those is that you connect those disparate blockchains. So rather than having to go through a third party, I can send you Bitcoin. Okay, it is through a third party through their network, but there's no middleman required. It's just a case of boop and it's done, and the transaction is and the transfer is made automatically. And
is that because the people behind Cosmos have both Bitcoin and Ripple, and so when you send them Bitcoin, they just do the equation and figure out how much Ripple that is, and then send the other person Ripple? Or is it more technologically advanced than that?
Yeah, you've got it. You've got it.
Oh, he's back. I was going to say this intermission is sponsored by Tom's Internet, but are you back?
I was going to take that moment to pick my nose, but I thought better of it.
Here, I'll pull the camera my way. People can't see you. Go, pick your nose.
Okay, yeah. Give root a deep one out. Oh, I've got to be quiet though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Don't pull it here.
Cool.
I've got the camera. Do it now. La 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 la. You got it. Oh god, that was a big one.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was kind of like up to the eyeball.
So
but yeah.
How does it work?
Long story short, these networks connect other networks. Like that's the MO.
Okay.
It's interoperability. It's how do I send a file from one place to another? You know, I think that the way they're selling it is it's meant to be like the internet of blockchains.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, if I've got a separate blockchain that is a Bitcoin, that is a Ripple, that is an Ethereum, they can't talk to each other. And so these networks are trying to bridge that gap.
Right.
I think it's interesting stuff. The reason I like cryptocurrencies and that technology space is that it is kind of like more robust. There is more privacy. You know, there's not a third party who's mining your data, or you know, there's no way of, or there is a way of being surveilled. You know, surveillance is possible, but it's more easy to be anonymous on those networks.
Right. Got you. And people, I think, often hear that and their mind goes to the fact that it's for illegal purposes.
Sure. I mean, that's how it got its start. You know, the Silk Road was a big thing. I'm not entirely sure it would have been or could have been as successful as it was. I mean, I use the term successful loosely. It was an illegal place to trade, you know, drugs, ammunition, and God knows what else.
Everything you could possibly want.
Without an anonymous means of payment, I don't think that would have been possible. But it's not necessarily the anonymity that I think is cool. Whilst that is a feature, like, you know, being able to process a gazillion transactions, ultimately, none of those networks have yet figured out how to do it. But there should come a point where it's cheaper and faster than maintaining a credit card network. And I think, going from the nerdy enthusiast beginnings that it had 10 years ago to now where you've got, major retail investment firms throwing mega bucks at development. I am firmly of the belief that at some point in the future, you'll find that Visa run one of these networks to process your transactions. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's going to replace them. I don't think it'll replace them at all, because one of the troubles with the cryptocurrency is if you make a mistake, there are no refunds. Whereas with a credit card provider or a bank, at least there is some sort of insulation from a mess up.
Right. Got you.
But yeah, in terms of like networks that that are robust and fast, like I think it's a really interesting new technology.
And so, sorry, there might have been a delay at the end there, just because it went a bit wompy in the middle. And so, in terms of like where you think Ethereum, for example, right now is going, I know obviously you and I keep in contact about that because we both still have Ethereum. What do you see happening? Because wasn't there just some like Bitcoin break off or halvening or something?
Yeah. So the halvening was last week or the week before, and I think that the reason that made the news is previously. So let's back up the truck. What is the halvening? So if I'm a Bitcoin miner, I earn money for processing these transactions, and the amount I get paid is chopped in half every, I don't even know, 6 years, 3 years, something like that. I'm sure. Let us know in the comments. Well, I think was it Einstein or Newton that said the fastest way to get a right answer is to give the wrong one on YouTube. That's one of their quotes, right?
Yeah. I'm sure that was Einstein. Yeah, or Gandhi. Was it Gandhi?
Yeah. It could have been Gandhi.
Yeah. No, I think that's who it was.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama. But anyway, whenever the halvening is, and so the block reward, the amount of money that the miners are paid, has been chopped in half. And the reason that happens is to make them more scarce. And in the past, however many times it's happened, 3, 5, 10 times, every time the block reward has halved, the price has leapt up. There's been like a mega jump. It was the jump from like $80 to $1,000, and then all the bit in the middle where we lost money. And then the jump from like $1,000 all the way up to $20,000, and then back down again to wherever we are now. And so, yeah, the halvening events have always been these major pushes upwards in the price. And so I think the reason it got a lot of attention this time around is because everyone was like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is it. Like, buy now. And the truth is it happened. And yeah, okay, it's still hovering around the 9,000 to 10,000 mark, but I don't think we've seen the sort of price action that we'd had in the past.
No, absolutely not. Well, I got really excited because you told me this thing was going to happen. I was like, hell yeah, maybe I can buy my Ducati back. That's my only goal with cryptocurrency, is to be able to recover the cost of my Ducati. That's what I'm holding on to, because it's the only money that I invested into it that I couldn't afford to lose. Like every other penny that I put into crypto was put in there with the expectation of losing it. And that was the only money that I put in where I was like, I don't want to lose this. I want to make money on it. Which, again, I know is stupid. And now if I ever invest in it again, that will never happen. But like that's what's so frustrating to me, because if I hadn't have bought... and the other thing that makes it so frustrating is that when I bought in with that Ducati money, it was when it was at its highest. So it was when it was I think I paid about $1,000 per coin.
That's a killer. That hurts, man. And I feel your pain. Like I have lost a lot of money on crypto.
But you were the same. You said the same thing, right? You started off. You didn't invest money that you couldn't afford to lose.
Well, I think that's probably good advice for any speculative investment. Like if you're, the way to think about it is that you're throwing money at a startup. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the statistic is, but it's something like 1 in every 10 make it.
Right.
And so there's a good chance if you're an angel investor or if you're investing in a young company, that you're gonna lose money. It's gonna fold. The trouble is though, all of us see like the Google, the Facebook, the Ubers. Although does Uber make money? I don't know. But these big tech companies, these 1 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million, and you think, man, I can pick that one. I'm smart enough to figure out which is going to be the next big thing. And the truth is, like, it's really hard. You've either got to be smart or lucky, and I'm not sure I've got much of either.
Yeah, no, me neither. I just listen to you. That you are the only point of reference I have in the cryptocurrency market. I'm just like, Tom, what should I buy right now? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, will I lose money? Probably, maybe. All right, yeah, perfect. That's as much advice you've ever given me. Goodbye.
The problem is I'm an eternal optimist. Like, I'm always like, buy. It's going to go up. Yeah. It's going to be big, man. I can feel it. This is it. It's coming. Oh, shit. Yeah, it didn't happen, man. Didn't happen. Next time around, we'll definitely get it. Yeah, 100%.
Let's hope so. So what's your next kind of fun thing? Have you got a project in mind? Are you buying a car? What?
It's meta. It's not a project. It's
meta.
Personal development.
Oh, okay. What are you PDPing?
Yeah. I'm going to learn to fly. Well, I mean, I was before social distancing became a thing.
Oh, okay. Got you. I thought you meant with, like, wings and stuff. Sorry, I'm just, the reason that I'm looking down right now is because I've just had my results back from my last ferritin test. Because I've been having my blood drawn, and I just got a message from my doctor, and I was at 1,700, which is horrifically high. It's kind of like very bad for your health high, considering your levels should be at 100. I've just got my result back, and it's now 177. So I'm officially smack bang in the middle of the 30 to 400 range that I should be in. So that means that I don't have to get any more treatment.
You're cured. Hooray.
I think so. I think it's all gone. Oh, that's cool. Sorry to interrupt there. That was just that's pretty big deal.
Good news, man.
That's 17 weeks of having my arm jabbed that hopefully I won't have to go and do as much anymore.
So now that you're kind of like in the good range, how long before you have to go get checked again?
I go That's a good question. I don't know because I only just found out I'm in the good range, so I'll have to.
Yeah, give me a second for God's sake.
I'll have to speak to my doc, but from what I gathered from other people that have it, one of the nurses actually that treats me, she has it. And in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's a condition called hemochromatosis. So you just absorb too much iron from your food, and so it means that your ferritin levels, which are your stored iron levels, go too high, and so you literally become Iron Man or woman. Like, iron starts to be deposited around your body. That's why these guns are so big. But other than that, it's also probably why. Not why, but it could cause issues with other organs as well. But your question was how long? So I was like, where am I going with this?
Where am I going with this?
Apparently, it's also been deposited in my brain. So the lady that has it, that does my blood when I go down there, she has hers done now once every 6 months, I think, and that kind of keeps her in the levels that she needs to be in. So it's for the rest of my life. Like, there's no slacking. But yeah, I'll probably go once every 3 to 6 months, depending on how quick my uptake is. So I'll speak to her. Maybe she'll say, look, don't go back, take a month off, and then after a month, go get it done. Come get your levels checked, and then we'll see how much it went up in that month, and then we'll use that to kind of gauge how often I need to go back.
And so now that you're in the good zone, because you made a fairly radical lifestyle change when you found out that you had it, right?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. So one of the things that it affects first is your liver. So your liver gets pretty toasted because it tries to, I don't know if it tries to filter or what it tries to do, but basically a lot of the iron can end up in the liver first. And so my liver enzymes were raised, and that is a common cause or a common reaction to hemochromatosis. And so I decided to stop drinking because I was like, look, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to go all in. So stop drinking. So I haven't had alcohol now since before Christmas. So, before New Year, should I say. Which actually, do you know what? I'm quite enjoying, which is very odd to say that you enjoy not doing something. But
what exactly do you enjoy?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Here's what I enjoy. And I remember when I would hear people say this back when I was drinking, and people would say, people that didn't drink or people that didn't drink much would say, I just can't deal with the hangovers. Like, I love the fact that I don't wake up with a hangover. And I think it goes beyond that. And as much as it sucks to have a hangover, the kind of mental fog that you get by drinking, like I would have a glass of wine at least once every couple of nights. Sometimes, some weeks it would be every night with dinner, you'd have a glass of red wine, beers on the weekend. I wasn't drinking. I mean, you came over for a week, and we went to Tower 12 and kind of enjoyed ourselves. But drinking beer is a big part, or was a big part of like my social life, because that was it. When we'd hang out, we'd go down the beach and drink beers, or we'd go like to the bars in the evenings or whatever. And so it just becomes like part of your lifestyle. And I think just even if you only have a couple, I think you get this sort of mental fog that I only now realize has been lifted now that I'm 6 months having not been drinking, and my body's kind of gone, all right, this is your new normal. And so it's like I wake up every morning at 5:30 and I go to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock every night, and I sleep really well and I wake up feeling refreshed. Now, obviously, a lot of this could also be attributed to the fact that, my ferritin levels were super high, and that they have side effects. That has side effects that even though I didn't necessarily feel like I had symptoms, there must have been some. And so now that they're back to normal, that could have been a reason for that. Maybe that's the cause and not the fact that I've just not been drinking. But I just feel like I'm a lot more clear-minded, a lot more motivated. I wake up better. I sleep better. Just, I don't know, just more in tune, really. That's the best way to put it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do miss, like, the other night we were making burgers here, and I actually went and got non-alcoholic beer. And I got it specifically for the fact that I miss that, like cracking a cold beer and drinking one. And actually just doing that with a non-alcoholic beer satisfied the craving that I had. And so I don't know, mate, it's weird. I don't know if I'll do it forever. I don't know if I'll say, I'm just not going to drink anymore, or if I'll just save drinking for like special occasions. I really don't know. But right.
Well, it's funny you say about the kind of the cracking of the beer. Like, I've had friends who have quit smoking and done it successfully, and one of the things they said is that they missed the ritual of it.
Yeah,
like the getting your stuff out, either rolling a fag or getting your ciggies out and sparking up and going and having a chat with your friends. Like, a lot of it was about the stuff, the peripheral act of it, rather than actually smoking the cigarette.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you can find a way to supplant, something else in there, either a non-alcoholic beer or even just like a soda water.
Oh, mate, back when things were open at the start of the year, when we would go out, soda water and lime. Oh my God, I drank so much of it. I think I was more hydrated. I'm hydrated for the entire year from what I drank at the start. Like, I was just drinking so much soda water and lime. But what's funny with the non-alcoholic beer is that I only ever drink a couple of them, and then I'm just like, it's not that I get bored of them, but I'm just like, okay, that's all I need. Whereas I feel like with regular beers, the first one is the gateway drug. The first one is the one that makes you go, ooh, I want more of these. And
well, I mean, I've suffered that many times with you. It's like, we'll just have one. We'll just be a quiet one. Come over, like, it'll be all right. And then 3 days later, you wake up on a beach in the south of France. You're like, how did I get here? God damn you!
Well, yeah, when you came over here, whenever it was recently, and you came over for a week, didn't you? And I remember you landed, I picked you up from the airport, and I was like, how you feeling? Like, that flight always gets you just feeling a little bit tired because it feels like you've had an extra long day. And you were like, yeah, I'm good. I could do with something to eat, though, and maybe get a beer. So we went to Tower 12, and I remember we ordered the big drinks, the fish bowls. It was happy hour, I think. Yeah. And so the first one came out, and you were like, oh my God, this is huge. And so you like drank the first one, which is about 2.5 beers. And I just remember seeing the sort of glaze come over your eyes, where it was like, you go from like tired, a bit jet lagged, like ready to go to bed. And then you just get this like, oh, now I'm good. and I think
it's a dangerous look.
Yeah, and I think it was like 11:30. I'm like, do you think we should probably go, like, just so you can get some good sleep? And we'd had like 4 or 5 beers at this point, and it was definitely time for us to leave. But that's the danger, isn't it? Is that it's very easy to fall into that. And I miss that. Like, I love having a beer, like, out in a bar. I just, I love everything about it. And so I'm interested to see when everything gets reopened, to see, like, how that's going to affect me, and whether or not I can fill that void, if you like, or replace that emotional connection with just drinking soda water or a non-alcoholic beer or something. We'll see.
I mean, the two solutions I suggest is, one, either you've got to have nerves of steel and be like, no, I'm just going to have a soda water. Like, this is the only way, no, I don't want one. Yes, thanks for, offering to buy me one, but I'm good. And that takes a lot of willpower. What I would do if I were in your position is change the way you socialize. Like, if, your group of people, you always meet them at the bar, go do something else.
That doesn't sound very fun, Tom.
I mean, yeah. Now you say it out loud, I can understand where you're coming from. What else is there?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean though. Like, and I think obviously moving down to this new spot, things are different. I live such an outdoors life now compared to before, and even though I wasn't far from the beach at the last place, just the fact that I can now walk to the beach, and also, having the dog as well. Like, so I've lost 12 pounds since I've had him, purely from walking. Like, I've averaged 5.5 miles a day walking since I've had him.
That's mega.
Yeah, and I love it. One of the things that I love the most is going for walks with the dog. There's just something so, like, nice about going out and just enjoying, like, Balboa Island is not far from here where I live. And so, I take him down there, and it's about 7 miles from here, walking down, a lap around the island and then back again. And it takes me, if I take my time, like 2.5 hours-ish, if we stop and have a play on the beach or whatever. And it's so much fun. And it's not the kind of thing that I would do if I didn't have a dog. And so, I mean, you remember Bence when I had Benson, the same thing happened. I had him for that extended period of time, and it was just so nice to be able to get out with him and walk him over the race course. And I think, I don't know if you remember that, but I think that's when I got down to my absolute skinniest. Do you remember we went to, what was it? For my birthday, Centre Parks for my birthday with Meadows. Do you remember that? And,
Yeah.
And I think that was my absolute skinniest. I got down to about, it's like 11 stone or something. It was not good. It was too skinny. But that was mostly through walking the dog and just being out all hours of the day.
Having said that, I do remember you sending me a video of you walking the dog around Warwick Racecourse. I think it was New Year's Day. You'd come here and dressed up in science fiction stuff.
Yeah, I know which video you mean.
The video you recorded was like, "This is bad. Never do this again.
Yeah,
you're an idiot. Why did you drink all that beer?"
And that proves my point about not drinking. And I don't know if I want to go back to that. But yeah, so the story you're talking about is when we had been out for a New Year's party, and it was I think I came as Darth Vader, and my girlfriend at the time was Princess Leia, and then you and Nick were there, and it was like in a tent somewhere. And so we had taken beers with us and stashed them in a bush, and we would like keep nipping out the tent and going and drinking. I think that was the last time I drank Stella. That was...
I'd forgotten entirely about the fact that we took illicit beers with us.
Yeah.
I was just like, we must have had a jolly time and bought some beer, but no, what we did was take a mega stash.
We did, yeah. I think me and you got through like what's the biggest? Is it 36 Stellas? Is that the biggest you can do?
God.
And they were the pint cans as well. And I think we got through most of those, and then you had a bottle of something, Jack Daniels or...
Probably,
yeah. And the next morning, I remember waking up, and I think we drove back in the morning, because we stayed at yours, didn't we?
Yeah, you did.
And so we drove back had breakfast, drove back in the morning. I got home, sat on the couch, then took the dog out for a walk, and I remember, going down to the field, and I felt the worst I've ever felt from drinking in my life. And so I got my phone out, and I was like, Adam, this is you. On the 1st of January, eat good food, don't drink, like, just be sensible. It's not worth it. it's not. And that was the 1st January. I think on the 3rd, I went out on a pub crawl with all the lads.
Brilliant. Yeah, that one stuck.
Yeah, but no, I mean, that's the thing now, thinking back to that, like, I can feel the coming up. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if I want that again. I might just be getting old. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think there is an element of that. Like I think it was you that introduced me to, is it Tim Ferriss? With the 4 hour
body,
4 hour
work
4 hour
week.
body?
Yep.
Sure. One of the things I liked about those books is how ready he was to experiment on himself. And
yeah.
so,
God, yeah.
By excluding stuff, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, okay, I'm going to give up booze for a month or, for a couple of months like you have, and just see how you feel. Like I did the same thing a couple of years ago with caffeine. Like I am caffeine free.
I remember you saying
and like,
that.
I got to the point where I was chasing the coffee dragon, whatever you would call that. It would be like 6 a.m. ching, 11 a.m. ching, 12 a.m. ching. And then it was like, kind of like a lull in the afternoon. What do I need? I know, another coffee.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like I found, the thing is, though, I never had any trouble sleeping. I would go to bed on time and always wake up. But I didn't wake up like feeling rested.
Right.
And having read a little bit around it, apparently, like if you've got caffeine in your system, it cuts down the amount of REM sleep you get. So you still get a solid 8 hours. Yeah. But it's the REM stuff that is that kind of like restores you.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I love the idea of just being like, is it this week I'm not going to eat any oranges. This week I'm not going to eat any bread, and just kind of like try to be cognizant of how you feel. You'd be amazed how many habits that you pick up that actually might be doing you harm, that, if you put them down for a little bit of time, you might realize that the fog clears and you're a different person.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think because I stopped drinking Diet Coke as well, because again, because your liver, it's apparently pretty bad for your liver. I know Diet Coke is bad for a lot of things, and well, I think
it's good at cleaning toilets.
Yeah, exactly, and for putting Mentos in. But yeah, so I stopped drinking Diet Cokes, but mate, I drink now, and this is the thing that maybe I should try that and do like 2 or 3 weeks of no caffeine. How long did it take before you started to notice a difference from not drinking caffeine?
I had a solid week where I felt like shit. Like I was definitely suffering withdrawals. I was bad tempered, and it took time to get off it. And then like, day 8, I woke up and I went, I kind of feel good. Like I feel rested.
Yeah.
It was the difference between having the alarm go off and having to crack an eye and being like, no way it's 6 a.m. Like I was in bed 10 minutes ago. That's not how this has worked. To kind of like waking up as the alarm went off and being like, right, I'm ready to kick some ass.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because since stopping drinking, I have drank more tea than I've ever drank in my life. I drink yerba mate, which I think is pretty caffeinated. And I kid you not, I probably have. So I wake up so like this tumbler right here. So this is the one that I drank this morning. I've had 4 of these this morning. And I reckon and you've seen my teacups. Like I don't have. I mean, look, nothing that I drink from is small.
They are not miniature. That's
yeah.
For sure.
Like this is my water cup. So like here is a regular Coke can size, and here is what I drink from.
Yeah, that's not a perspective trick.
Right. Exactly. I don't just have like really tiny hands. But so I probably would say that on average, like a regular normal human cup of tea, I have between 8 and 12 a day.
Wow. That's a lot.
Right, but I don't. But if I miss a day, so like if I go out and I'm shooting or whatever, and I wake up and I don't have a cup of tea in the morning, and I don't have a cup of tea the whole day, I don't miss it. Like I don't. I'm not addicted to it, and I don't know if that's just because I'm so caffeinated that I would need to go like 3 or 4 days to realize, or if it just doesn't affect me that way. I
mean, people are sensitive to caffeine in different degrees, but. And the other thing is that tea obviously has less caffeine than coffee.
Does it?
The thing that, I can't even remember why I decided to give it up. It might have just been because I felt bad.
Right.
But yeah, the thing, there was a single piece of information I read somewhere, I heard somewhere, and it was something like the half-life of caffeine is 6 or 12 hours. And so if you have a cup of coffee in the morning, 12 hours later, there's still half a cup's worth of caffeine doing the rounds.
Holy shit.
I know, and I was like, wow. So I'm going to bed. Like I was having a cup of coffee at like 5 o'clock in the evening,
Yeah.
or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was fine. You know, I got to bed, and it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, having learned that, yeah, that coffee would have been swooshing around my system for like another a minimum of 12 hours. That's the half life. So, you know, 12 hours later, half that cup of coffee was in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this feels not good.
This feels not good. Yeah, no, that's interesting. So I've just Googled it. Is that? So I'm still new to like wearing glasses, like when I'm on my computer, and every now and again I'll get like a reflection in the back of the glasses, and I'm like,
okay,
what is that? What is that? Yeah, and it's nothing. It's just a reflection. But like I'm like, huh. So apparently yerba mate has 85 milligrams of caffeine per cup, so it contains less caffeine than coffee, but more than a cup of tea.
Okay, so it's pretty caffeine rich then.
Yeah. And I have no way. I mean, I do. To be fair, if I have 2 cups, I'll do 1 cup, and then I'll use the same tea bag. So sure. I reuse the tea bag at least 1 refill.
Yeah.
But even so, I still drink a lot. And what's funny is like I can drink yerba mate all day and not feel caffeinated or anything, and not feel jittery. There's these sparkling water drinks that I've just got started on. That I have every now and again. They taste like Sprite, but they've got no sugar. Like they're all like natural, and they've got then they're caffeinated. I have one of those, and I'm like, bring! It makes me feel like so like pumped and good. So that's what's weird is like I'll have that and feel caffeinated, but I can spend all day just like guzzling tea and nothing. So who knows? Maybe that can be my next one. Is I'll cut caffeine for 2 weeks and see how I feel. But definitely,
let's hope my health advice is better than my investment advice.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I did, I went vegan, and the funniest thing about that was everyone's like, oh yeah, when I went vegan I lost like 20 pounds and it was amazing and blah blah blah. When I went vegan I put on 12 pounds, and I think that's probably to do with coronavirus and just being at the house and like just doing whatever. But yeah, I think at the start of the year I was like 212 pounds or something, and then I got up to my heaviest I've been so far has been 228, and then I'm now back down to I was 212 again this morning and falling pretty quick. So I'm aiming for under 200. That's my goal. So with all the,
I mean, what does a vegan snack look like? Because all I can think of is peanuts. I'm like,
no, that's the thing. I don't snack.
A tiny cup of. Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
Is it like 3 square meals and nothing else?
Well, no, not even. Mate, I would love to get a proper nutritionist to look at my diet, and I would log my food for a week and see what people make of it, because like when I look at what I eat versus the weight I gain or the weight I lose, it doesn't really add up. Like, I mean, you've seen what my portions are like, and oh look, there's the dog back there. What are you doing? Hold on, let me see if I can scoot out of the way. Wait, I've got to go this way. There he is. There he is. What are you doing? What are you doing? Is that you? So I have you can just about see it just here. I have this Cat 6 or Cat 7 cable that I'm trying to hide away, because it's the one that goes from my router all the way to the to this computer. And so right here by the side of the bed, there's like a load of cable that's all tangled up. And he just loves lying on it. Like, he just goes around there and lays on all of this cable. And he's got a perfectly comfy bed right here. He now has 3 beds. I bought him one for every room. But he lays on the Cat 7 cable. So, like a weirdo.
Nice.
But yeah, so I definitely put on weight when I'm not cautious of my portion control, because I will just keep on eating. Like, it can be healthy, but I'll keep on eating it. But recently, I think what's helped with losing like 12 pounds in 3 weeks has been walking him. So just walking. And then I've actually been eating a lot more kind of fruit and stuff. So rather than at lunchtime, like if I feel hungry, before I'd be like, all right, maybe I'll have like, I don't know, a veggie substitute, a Gardein, whatever, like a burger or something like that, like just the patty. I don't mean like with the bun and everything. But now I've just been like, oh no, I'll just have an apple and a banana and then some water or something. Or like Jamba Juice over here does these awesome like green smoothies that I have with some soy protein. And so, you know, that kind of stuff is what I've been leaning towards. So I guess really I've only been eating like 2 meals a day with sort of a fruity snack in the middle. But I just, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. I mean, sometimes I just go on a rampage and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I'll eat anything I want. But then other times I just, it doesn't make sense why I put on the weight. And then it'll drop off again. So I mean, you've known me for long enough. Like it does, it fluctuates a lot. And, you know, there are people that comment on YouTube and, oh, you look fat and, oh, are we ever going to see Adam's cheekbones and all the rest of it? I don't give a fuck. I got a massive willy, so it doesn't matter. But, you know, these people that like make these comments and stuff, like it's bad. Like people shouldn't be making fun. But for me, it's like I know that I go like this anyway. So 2 weeks later, they'll be like, oh, you look like you've lost weight. And it's like, yeah, I have. But watch me put it all back on with these cheese and onion pasties I'm going to make this week.
Yeah. I'll just wind 6 of these into me at once.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe I should get a gastric ban. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's purely just down to the fact that I need to reduce the size of my fuel tank.
Oh, you just cheat around it. You just eat little and often if you have that done.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is there kind of like a natural weight, or is it always dictated by your lifestyle at the time? Is there kind of like a spot where you found yourself more often than others? Yeah.
I think where I'm at right now, if I wasn't to do anything, and I was to just kind of live a normal life, I think I would end up around 220 pounds. I think that's just my kind of like my not fighting weight. My fighting weight's like 185 to 190. That's where I feel the best. But in terms of like where I just end up, yeah, definitely around that sort of 220 mark, which is, what's that in stone? Alexa, what's 220 pounds in stone?
220 pounds is 15 stone, 10 pounds.
It's almost 16 stone.
The thing is, though, you're a lot taller than I am. I see, like, you know, 11 stone is kind of where I need to be. So what's that, 140, 150 pounds, something like that?
Yeah,
and so
probably.
You know, when people who are like 6.5 feet tall, who are like, yeah, I weigh 20 stone. And I'm like, you're a massive fat git.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, you know, as a percentage change, you know, a couple of pounds on you is going to make way less of a difference than it does on me. Or you might not be able to tell from this sat down shot, as I'm actually 3.5 feet tall.
You're not sat down, you're actually stood up.
Yeah. I'm on a copy of the Yellow Pages.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm aiming for 200. That's my goal by summer. I'd like to be down to 200. I'm feeling good right now. Yeah, I think my health as well. I think that plays a part in it. You know, now that I'm starting to feel better and all the rest of it, it makes you want to be more active. So what I'll say to you guys listening and watching is, go and get your bloods done. Like, just go and get a full blood panel there. If you're in America, you can get them done for about $300. And if you're in the UK, then just go to your doctor and say you want an MOT. But it's so worth it. Like, they found mine by accident. I went in for a routine checkup. I just went back to the UK, went to my doctor, was like, hey, let's do my bloods. Let's see where my levels are at. And it came back, and yeah, my ferritin was like 1,000 times higher than it should have been. So yeah, definitely recommend that you do that, because oftentimes, like with mine, I had no symptoms, and the level that I was at, if I'd stayed there for another year or so, I run into problems like liver failure, heart failure, like testicular cancer. Like it was
that's serious. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I would not have known because I didn't have any symptoms. That was the craziest thing. I felt fine. So yeah, it's definitely worth just making sure that you get yourself, even if you think you feel okay, just every 12 months or so, 6 to 12 months, just go and get yourself checked out. And I'm hoping now that my levels are getting back to normal, and with him, that I'll be Superman again, which would be nice. I'm desperate to start training again though. I want to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Is this what are you triple black belt in at the moment?
4th degree black belt in Tang Sudo, which is a Korean karate, kind of like Taekwondo. So it's like Taekwondo or Shotokan, if you guys have ever heard of that. But yeah, so I have 4 black belts in that. So I'm officially Master Swords, which is cool. And then, yeah, Jiu-Jitsu, I feel like if I could have my time again and spend the amount of time doing what I've been doing in karate, which is at this point 25 years, if I could do 25 years in Jiu-Jitsu, oh my goodness. That'd be incredible. I think if you can only do one martial art, I think Jiu-Jitsu is the one.
I'll take your word for it. Having done 0 martial arts.
Yeah, it's definitely when I first did jiu-jitsu and I went to my very first class at Fabricio Verdum's gym in Venice. He's a UFC heavyweight. They put me with a 14-year-old girl, and she was probably like just under 100 pounds. You know, little thing. At the time, I was probably around 210, 215. And we got on the mat and we started to roll. And, I'm 4th degree black belt. Like, I may not know grappling and chokes. I may not know how to do them sort of nicely, but hey, I can scrap, right? I've done enough other styles to know. I've done a bit of judo and stuff. So we start rolling and I'm like, yeah, she doesn't weigh anything. That's fine. And so I start like kind of throwing my weight around. I make one move to try and like, I don't know, push a shoulder or grab a wrist or something. And she spun around and she's got me tapped out with an armbar. Mate, I kid you not. It was instant.
Yeah. Blink and you miss it.
Before I had even like finished my grip on her gi, I was already like, oh, done. It was insane. And I think we rolled for about 5 minutes and she tapped me out as many times. She got me with rear naked chokes. She got me with arm bars. She got me with an ankle lock at one point. And this was a 14, 15-year-old girl. And after that class, I was like, yes, this is the one. This is exactly what I want to learn. Because I can stand up and I can trade, I can kick, I can, do all that stuff. And in a stand-up fight, I'm all right. Like I could probably hold my own. On the ground, clearly I need work because I've just had a 14-year-old girl school me. And the funny thing is I wasn't going easy. Like if she tapped me out that first time, I was like, all right, bitch, this is it. Like you're getting it. I'm gonna go hard now and I'm gonna tap you out. I didn't even get close. Not even close.
Not even close. I mean, is jiu-jitsu one of those things where technique will always trump strength, or is there like 2 lines that cross?
Nope, I don't believe there's 2 lines that cross. I think perhaps with things like, let's say that same girl was trying to armbar a 350-pound heavyweight with biceps the size of my quads. Maybe in that instance, because an armbar, traditional armbar, is done with the elbow held like on the crotch and then levering back towards the chest, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
So the arm is straightened out, and so there you have to have the ability to be able to pull back against all of their strength straightening you out. So
sure.
I guess in that instance maybe, but the majority, I would say 99.9% of the time, good technique will trump strength and weight. I mean, we've seen it in the UFC, the Gracies absolutely proved that they were able to take down some of the most brutal heavyweights. And yeah, well, all weight categories. That's the great thing about it, is that everyone now that's fighting in the UFC, if they don't have jiu-jitsu, then it is classed as a serious hole in their game, because all it takes is one person take you on the ground and that's it, game over. It doesn't matter how well you can box.
Yeah, once you're down, that's it. Exactly,
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, Frank Mir, I think was it Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar? So Brock Lesnar, the wrestler, the WWF or WWE, whatever he was, wrestler. I mean, that guy, he had to have special gloves made by the UFC that were, I believe, 4XL. They only went up to 3XL, and he needed an extra X on there because his hands are so big.
He was swinging spades around.
Yeah, like big old lunchbox hands. And he fought Frank Mir, who was another big dude. And I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right. Let me know in the comments if I'm mixing up fights here. But Brock Lesnar was basically beating Frank Mir. He was doing a great job. And it ended up going on the ground. And at one point during a scramble, Brock Lesnar left his leg out, and Frank Mir got him with an ankle lock and tapped him out with an ankle lock after having been pretty badly beaten up prior to that. And that's what I mean. That's all it takes is just one little slip up, and you're out, you're done. So jiu-jitsu is definitely something I want to do. There's actually a jiu-jitsu school just up the road here. So when everything opens, although I think of all the martial arts to not do during coronavirus times, I think jiu-jitsu is probably the top of the list. Like people sweating into your mouth. Like it's
that's fairly up close and personal.
It's very up close and personal. Yeah, you can't do jiu-jitsu if you're scared of someone being in your personal space. Like it gets pretty close. But yeah, that's definitely next on the agenda for sure.
So I mean, do you have a contingency in place? Do you have something you could train before the whole lockdown thing? Kind of like, well, people find a solution to being next to each other.
No, not really. No, I mean, like I've got friends back in Hermosa that have karate schools, so I could always just go and do some sparring up there when things start to calm down a little bit, and yeah, everybody's feeling a little bit more comfortable about it. So that's I will always go and do that just because I enjoy fighting anyway.
Yeah, sure.
We just go on a Wednesday night and put on some music and put on some pads and just beat 7 bells of crap out of each other. And it's great fun. I just got a flashback to one time when the instructor who owns the school up there, me and him were sparring, and he I can't remember exactly what the setup was, but he comes up, he spins to do a spinning back kick to hit me with a spinning back kick in the midsection, and I at the same time come over the top with a right hand. And as he connects with my stomach, I connected with the back of his head, and you're not allowed to punch to the back of the head. It's not something you should do. And I wasn't intending on it. I was trying to punch him in the front of the head. But because he spun at the last minute, as I was committed, I clocked him in the back of the head and knocked him out, and he just went on his face. And I was like, oh my God, I've killed him. And literally like 3 seconds later, he's like, what on earth was that? Like, what just happened? And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, it was such a foul shot, but it was just hilarious. Like the perfect timing, just like dink right on the back of his noggin.
The synchronized.
Yeah,
it's like shooting a bullet out of the air with another bullet.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have a great time, and there are a few guys there that like to roll as well. So I like to get beaten up by them because there's one guy who's 6'7", and he knows jiu-jitsu. Now, you can get beaten up as a 6-foot guy. You can get easily beaten up in jiu-jitsu by someone that's 5 foot. Like, you don't need to be long and gangly to make jiu-jitsu work. However, if you are 6'7" and you know jiu-jitsu, then chances are you're going to be all right. Like, it's like trying to have a fight with a wet ball of spaghetti. Like, you just can't get, it's just legs and arms everywhere. There's no way out. Like, that's it.
There's no leverage.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, so maybe I'll go back up and do some of that in the near future because I haven't kicked anyone in the head for ages and I miss it.
Well, I mean, I've taken a slightly less aggressive route with my exercise. I've reignited my love-hate relationship with my bike.
You have, haven't you? God
damn, I hate and love that thing. Like I like being by myself. I like the open road and the wind in my scalp. But the trouble is I can't help but fiddle with it. And I'm always finding things that are wrong.
Right.
Stuff that needs either like changing or cleaning or adjusting. And like what I really want, like some of those supercars that you buy that they don't let you have. You just
like the Ferrari FXX and stuff.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be at Silverstone or, a track at this time. Bring me my car. That's the sort of push bike I need. Because what I want to do is get on it and go for a cycle ride. What happens is I go, oh, the brakes are a bit squeaky last time. I'll just give that a little tweak. And then 10 minutes later, the bike's in 1,000 pieces on the patio. I'm filthy, covered in grease, and I have not gone for a bike ride.
Yeah, no, I get that. I definitely get that. And so, because you just went out for a big ride, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, so I went out
for the inaugural ride.
Yeah, my first ride in 5 years was 60K, so like 30 odd miles. Goddamn, I was sore. Like, yeah, there were bruises in places I didn't know that you could get bruises.
Did you get your cranks fixed? Because Tom called me up the other day and he was like, I'm working on my bike and I've ordered 3 sets of cranks now and none of them fit.
Yeah, none of them fit. They're still... I'm all the way back to square one. I've put the original ones back on.
Really?
So now I'm in the process of like sending them back through eBay, which again is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But oh man, one day it'll be finished, and then I'll get bored of it and sell it.
Yeah, you
Or
should
buy a good bike.
you should get an electric one.
I'd love an electric one. You've got a couple of really nice electric
I
ones.
do, yeah. I got the two Super 73s. Although they're like beach cruisers. They're not for. I wouldn't want to use them like on the roads in the UK. That Onyx that I took to Catalina. Have you seen that video?
I have.
So that one was unbelievable. Like if I was to have a bike right now for pootling around, commuting, that kind of thing, electric bike, that would be it. And the reason being is because you can cruise at 60 miles per hour. It is a motorcycle, Tom. Like it's
it's an electric motorcycle.
Yeah, that you don't need a license for. It's insane how they managed to kind of get away with it. But yeah, so I've been pushing them so hard to get me a bike so that I can do some more content with it. But with the whole coronavirus thing going on, and they're quite a small company, it's been like getting blood from a stone. But I am working on it. Because I would love one of those. I have so many ideas as well for like modifying it and obviously modifying it and tweaking it and stuff. Because that would be the perfect little commuter bike. Because pretty much, if it's within a 25-mile radius and you don't have to be there fast, so like if you're happy to just sit in eco mode, which still does 20 miles per hour, but if you're happy to sit in eco mode 25 miles, no problem.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to go there in like
the idea of building a bike,
an electric bike.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
You know,
He is.
eBay,
It sounds like
Chinese,
he's singing.
3 watts, 5,000 watts. We back?
We're
My
back.
internet connection is unstable. There you go. We're back.
There we go.
Yeah, the Chinese ones. They do some really high output ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3,000 watts, 5,000 watts. And like you said, those will take a bike to 60, 70 miles an hour.
Which is nuts. It's nuts.
What could possibly go wrong? There's nothing between you and the tarmac, but like an atom-thick layer of lycra.
Exactly. So I've actually been, and we should talk about this off air then. If you've already done the research, we'll do what we always do, and I'll just use you for the research side, and then I'll just put money to it and be like, cool, yeah, there you go, perfect. I've been looking at tuning my Super 73. So it has like a 750 watt hub motor or something, and it's just not fast enough. Like straight up isn't fast enough. It's great. It's fine for cruising around the beach, but it doesn't have any torque to get up hills. So even if I couldn't get any more top speed, then I would just want torque so that I can at least ride it up a decent hill. So I was thinking about running like a mid-drive, because there's a hoofing great big hole in the middle of that frame where you could put whatever you want. And so we'll talk about it off air, and I'll see what you recommend, because what would be awesome is if I could somehow keep both and have like the mid-drive motor sort of boost the standard motor. So that, because there's a spot under the seat for a battery, which is already occupied by the one for the hub motor. But yeah, let's talk about that, because that would be a fun little project to do.
Well, I mean, you know my opinion, mate. If a little is good, more is always better.
Yeah, that's my favorite phrase. That is my favorite phrase. And I think I learnt it from you as well.
Oh, God, yeah. From the guy who's wrecked how many cars now?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I'm following you on that suit, aren't I? I'm one down.
Yeah.
One down, 3 to go, 2 to go. But yeah, talking of some is good, more is better, I think some is... I was trying to segue into how to end this, because we've been going now for 2 hours, and I need to go get some lunch, and I need to go and pack up some orders of Swords merch, which you can get if you go to swords.com.
Available now. From all good retailers.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, this has been fun. I've enjoyed.
It was good crack, wasn't it?
Catching up with you. Yeah. So I hope everybody else has enjoyed this. Thank you, mate, for coming on and telling us about hairy planes and magic beans.
Yeah, no sweat. We'll do it again sometime soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. We shall. We'll come up with even more things to talk about. So when me and Tom get on it, like as you've probably seen from this podcast, there is no rhyme or reason or direction that we go in, and we normally end up in some pretty interesting places of conversation. So if you guys enjoyed this, let me know in the comments, and me and Tom can chat shit anytime you like, because this is what we do.
Nice. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it, mate. It was good. I like to get into the weeds every now and again.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. Well, look, I'm hopefully going to be able to come back over at some point. That'd be nice if I could actually come back to England. I'm thinking maybe around my birthday, September time. If flights have started to open up, then I'll come back. So yeah, we'll have to do something for my birthday and have a catch up. Or you'll just have to come back out here.
Let me just pick that drop off the. Yeah, I could. I mean, it's not impossible. America, you might not have seen the news recently, but it doesn't seem like a particularly great place right now.
Yeah, not really the holiday destination that it once was at the moment.
Not so much.
No.
Booking the flights would probably be no sweat. I could pull a few strings, but getting travel insurance is going to be expensive.
Yeah, right. Exactly, yeah. And I'm very jealous of your little setup there. Your little twinkly lights in the background.
Watch this. Can I do the sign off?
Yeah, sure.
Right,
You want to do you know what you got to say though?
No, what do you say?
So you got to say, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please support the channel. Go to swords.com, pick yourself up some swords merch, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. That really helps. And until next time, don't do anything I wouldn't do.
What he said. Do you like that?
Bye, guys. See you all next time.